and welcome to our third session with South Notts Men's Chorus. Tonight we are going to be looking at a little bit of harmony, but we're going to look at how composers then go about using what they've written in the harmony plus a melody for a four-part male voice choir like ourselves. We are in C major. We have no key signature. I'll give you that for nothing. We know chord 1 is C miss 1, E miss 1, G. Give me chord 4, please.
FAC.
FAC. And chord 5?
GBD.
Good. I'd like to start at the end, which seems a bit weird, but the reason we start at the end is because we can do our cadence. Now, this is the very end because we've got a double bar line. So there are 2 cadences that are finished. What are the 2 finished cadences, please?
Perfect.
Perfect, which is chord what, John?
That's
chord
5
to
1.
Excellent. And the other one?
Plagal.
Plagal, the old Amen, well done. Which is chord
4
to
1.
Yeah, and that's, as you say, the Amen cadence. So let's just recap those, what they sound like. Again, there's chord 5, got the 5th note of C. There's chord 5, 5, 1, and 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1. So we get the Amen from. So we've got to pick one of those, and obviously this is our end. We've got a C, so we clearly have got to stop with a C chord there. What we're going to have before it? Probably a minim, please.
Well, it's F and A.
4.
Yeah, it's got to be chord 4, hasn't it? So which cadence are we using then?
Plagal.
A plagal cadence. Good. So we're using chord 4 to 1. Right. Can you have a look, please, at those? And then I'd like a crotchet, a chord per beat in the first bar, a chord per 2 beats there. So if you just tell me what they are, that would be great.
5.
We're having 5.
First beat of the bar with under the
This
D.
one. Yeah, good. So we're going to have chord 5 because we've got a B and a D. So all cows eat grass. There we go. So we've got chord 5 there. What are we going to have in this previous bar? What have we got to start with?
C, D, E.
1.
Chord 1, yeah. So we'll have a chord of C there.
Well, if you want a chord with a D in it, it's got to be 5.
5.
Excellent.
back to a 1.
Back to a 1, yeah.
And the E is a 1.
Then a choice of 1 or 4.
So what are we going to go for? 1 again or a 4?
4. More interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Because then we've got a nice 1, 5, 1, 4, 5, 4, 1. Now, can we make any of those inversions so that the bass does something a little bit more fluid in its movement rather than just all root position triads? What do you think? I think we're probably best to start with 1 and definitely best to end with 1 because that's, this is where we are. We must be in root position. But what about that one or that one? You could probably invert those. What do you think?
In second, certainly invert the second
5.
instance where you've got a 1 just to make it a bit more interesting
So you could put a 1 what?
with a second inversion.
Right, so second inversion are only allowed to be used in 2 places. One's a passing 6/4 and one's a cadential 6/4. I'll show you those next week. But we can certainly have a first inversion. So let's forget the C's for now and let's just go for the first inversion. So let's put a 1B. So that means that the bass note is not going to be C, it's going to be
E.
E. See, that makes it look so much better, doesn't it? La, la. Not as much of a leap there. La, la, la. That's a nice little movement up, isn't it, scale? La, la. I think that probably is about as much as you want to change, really. Definitely got to have those in root position because it's got to be 4 to 1. And that just sort of does it, doesn't it? So now the next thing we need to do is we need to fill in the other notes. Now, we are not allowed to have the middle note in more than one part. So only one part is allowed to have the middle note. So because the middle note is already being played there, that E, we cannot have an E being sung by anybody else. We're only going to have a C or a G. So we've got a C and a C there. We have therefore not got an E or a G. So we can put, I'll show you the first one. We're going to put the G in the second tenor line. If we gave the second tenors an E there, and we gave the baritones a G there, the baritones would be singing above the second tenors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them that one. Good. So let me
A bit like Sudoku, this, isn't it?
It's very, very like Sudoku. Next one, we've got a chord 5, and we've got a G at the bottom and a D at the top. One of the parts can have a B, and then depending on what they've sung before, the other one can have something else. Now, think about line now. Where would it be a good idea to have the B? Would it be a good idea for the tenor 2s to do the B? Or would it be a good idea for the baritones to go from that E to a B there?
Second tenor, so they rise.
Definitely, second tenor. And also what they're doing, of course, then, is they're sort of following what the top line does. Can you see? It's going up and that's rising with it. So we've got a G, we've got a B and we've got a D. We've got all the notes covered. So what are we going to do with the baritones? What note are they going to have?
D, above middle C.
So that's quite a leap. That's a 7th.
Uh-huh.
I think I might take them just from that E to that G and share it with the basses. Can you see what I've done?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I want to have a look at now is what happens when the composer goes away and writes out the parts. The bass is written there, baritone there, tenor 2s are there, tenor 1s are there. Now, you are all aware that this is tenor clef, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? What you see and what you hear aren't the same thing. So what happens when we hear it? What do we hear?
Is that a middle C?
It says, so we hear it an octave lower than written. Yeah. And it's that little number 8 that tells you that. So it does look, this is what we call open score, whereas the previous one was closed score. So we had 2 parts on the top line and 2 parts on the bottom line. But here it's just exactly the same thing, but it's opened it up for you. And what we can see is that each of the notes, rather than holding for a minute, more than likely you'll be all singing the same word, so that you'll pulse on the notes rather than just holding it, unless it's R-ing, as you know. And we try to get as fluid a line as we possibly can through the chords. We make sure that the shape is smooth. We make sure that we don't double our thirds. And they're the 2 crucial points that I want you to take from that.